And welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, the Dr. Bob Lee. Hey, November is Family Caregivers Month. And joining us for a look at this, as well as her organization and her work in the community, we have founder of Caregivers Outreach Ministry Empowerment, Diane Leona Cooper. We welcome you to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Now, how long have you been doing this?
Well, we've been in assistance for over 10 years now. In fact,
All right.
we just celebrate our 10th year anniversary.
Mm-hmm. And what do you do with caregivers?
We are advocates for caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, what we do is we help caregivers get through their journey. We found out that caregivers tend to make decisions on the amount of knowledge base that they have.
Yeah.
So what happens is that they end up making decisions that later on they're guilty, they feel bad about because of the lack of knowledge that they have.
Mm-hmm.
The organization came about because I was one of the caregivers for my dad.
Yes.
And even though I'm a nurse and I have the nursing background and the educational level, it didn't matter at that point because as we all know that when you undertake the role of a family caregiver,
It's a tough job.
It is.
It's a tough job.
And it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
where you live at or the educational level or your finances, it's a different role. It's a role that one never has undertaken before.
Yeah.
So God has placed in my heart that I wanted to make sure that every caregiver that take on the role of being a family caregiver have the knowledge, at least a sound knowledge base to make decisions so that they're not guilty or feeling bad about the decisions that they make.
Yeah.
And so Caregivers Outreach, we work along with family caregivers to assure that the information is accessible. There's lots of information out there for caregivers.
Oh, yeah.
So we're not saying we're the only one out there with information for caregivers, but what we are saying is that we want to make it accessible. We want to make it accessible in the church, in community organizations, in the corporate world. We want to make it accessible at the times that the caregivers are available. A lot of times we have information for caregivers throughout the daytime. Well, guess what? That caregiver's at work.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to offer information to caregivers inside the Human Resources Department, on the jobs and things like that.
My sister Leanna has been a caregiver to many of our family members, and they just want to come through. My sister, she pays close attention to their needs and and their feelings. And now my mom, I run over there every now and then, but she's the main caregiver for my mom. And that's a tough job. It really, really is. So I have to give it to the caregivers. We love you. We thank you. We praise you.
Oh, yes.
What are some of the tips that you would give to our caregivers?
Well, basically, I would say that the most challenging part of being a caregiver is that because we give so much of our time, we sacrifice a lot for another, which is truly love, when you sacrifice yourself for another. Is the challenge of possibly becoming ill or sick yourself, because we're so involved with the caregiver that we forget to take our medicines, we forget to keep our doctor's appointment, go to a mammogram appointment and things like that. So the challenges of being a caregiver is that basically remembering to take care of yourself and self-care.
You can't begin to take care of anybody else until you can first begin to take care of yourself.
Yes.
Yes. And you hear that a lot. Yeah, that's a big story in the caregiving community.
Yes.
That sometimes the caregiver needs some care, some tender loving care.
Yes, that's our motto, that caregivers need caring too.
Yeah.
That we need a hug every now and then. We need some encouraging word. In fact, I am a caregiver. I've been a caregiver for about 7 to 8 years for my husband, who's stricken with COPD on 24 hours of oxygen.
No.
So I am a caregiver. So when I speak to another caregiver, I can totally relate to what they are going through because I myself, I'm a caregiver.
Yeah. So that's tip number one. Tip number two?
Tip number two is speaking up. You want to speak up. You want to let your job know that you're a caregiver. You want to let your doctor know that you're a caregiver. And you just want to speak about being a caregiver, because the greatest resource that we have as caregivers is another caregiver who understands what we're going through. So you want to speak up. And because caregivers have been speaking up, we have such things as the CARE Act. We have the Family Medical Leave now. We have something called the CD Pass, which is where...
Wait, Family Medical Leave and CARE, that's a part of the CARE Act?
Okay, Family Medical Leave is where you can actually take off up to 12 weeks from your job and be guaranteed that your position will be there when you come back. And this is by law. They cannot fire you.
My sister, let me have that phone over there and call my sister.
They cannot fire you, you're guaranteed. And then you have the family, the CARE Act, which allows the hospital to speak to the caregiver, to train the caregiver, because as you all know, we're doing things like cleaning a trach, doing a catheterization, we're giving insulin injections, something that I went to school 4 years for, we're sending you home from the hospital to do it without any kind of skills.
I've done it.
So we have that.
I've come in with the mask and everything, and did the IV, and they taught us the whole nine.
Yeah. So we're doing stuff like that. And then the other one is this CD Pass. CD Pass, the law just passed that a family member can actually care for someone, a spouse, a child, and actually get paid for the services. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
How does that work?
Get paid. Well, you have to join a program, a managed long-term care program. That's not, all programs don't do it, but most do. And you actually get paid for taking care of that mom, that dad, that aunt, that uncle. So that's a little finances coming in.
Does it an impact on the healthcare system? Do that?
Yes, yes. Basically, as a nurse, I can tell you that we depend on family caregivers. I think there's something like $37 million, $1 billion that we as caregivers actually save the healthcare system, because they don't have to send that nurse in if you're doing an insulin injection. They don't have to send that nurse in if you're doing the tube feeding, if you're doing the straight catheterization. So we're actually saving the healthcare system probably about $37, I hear $1 billion that we're saving the healthcare system.
I have my mouth open.
Yeah. So we should get a little something for that.
Yes. My God, I didn't know that. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And where can we go to get this type of information?
Basically, you can give us a call. You can give us a call, and we will give you that information. And go to the website, which is comeoutreach.org.
What are some of the other programs that you have?
Great.
Or did you do tip number? Was that tip number 2?
Tip number 2. Tip number 3 is basically just believing in yourself, just knowing that your instinct is probably correct, and you're doing the best you can, with the information that you have. So just always remember just to depend on your instinct.
And tip number 4?
Yeah. And tip number 4 would be your health, making sure you make your health a priority. Yeah.
And tip number 5? No, you don't have to tell me tip number 5.
Tip number 5 is take your breaks. Take your breaks. It's a necessity. Take your breaks. Take time out for yourself.
Yeah. All right, so Family Caregivers Month, when was that started?
Okay, so National Family Caregivers Month basically is something that's recognized every November, and it actually started back in 1997, where President Clinton started to do the proclamation for National Family Caregivers Month. And actually the proclamation for this year by President Obama is on our website also. You can read it and see. It actually started out because they noticed that us as family members were taking on the task of caring for a loved one. Way back when, as you all know, when we all lived on the same block, the same neighborhood, the same borough, we didn't really have that title, because your aunt, your uncle, someone would chip in to care for someone. With people having just 1 child or 2 child and not having 5 and 6 kids anymore, we don't have that comfort of having the extended family to do that work anymore.
Is it happening more and more in our country? Because in some countries like Japan, they really take care of their elders.
As far as, I can't answer that question. I do know the United States is definitely something that's taken off. As far as in China and other countries, I am not sure how they're doing it over there.
They honor their elders.
Yeah, we do too, but it's just that we're working hard.
Yes. And we praise you. We thank you for it. We really appreciate you. I'm going to call my sister as soon as we're done here today, and I'm going to let her know that there are these opportunities there.
Great. Tell her to give me a ring.
Yes, I will. Okay. All right, where can we go to get more information on this? You have a website?
Yeah, you can go to our website at comeoutreach at go to our website at comeoutreach.org.
Comeoutreach.org.
And you can email us at info@comeoutreach.org.
There you go. Give a big hand, everybody. Diane Leona Cooper, founder of Caregivers Outreach Ministry, Empowerment Incorporated.
Thank you.
.com. No, not the .com. But thank you so much, a wealth of information. We have to take a quick break right here, but coming up next, we'll take a look at a one-woman show based right here in the Bronx. But first, the Explorers Club, they held an event to share stories on sailing expeditions. Veronica Guidi has the story. Check it out.